The Little Bear Who Didn't Know How to Hibernate. A story from the Bois Joli Forest. Autumn was coming to an end in the wonderful Bois Joli Forest. The golden leaves danced in the wind before hitting the ground, and all the animals were getting ready for winter. It was a special time when every creature followed the forest's old traditions to get through the cold season. In the Big Bear den, Papa Bear and Mama Bear were explaining hibernation preparations to their little cub, Teddy. "My darling," said Mama Bear sweetly, "in a few days, we're going to sleep all winter, just like all our ancestors did." But Teddy was listening with a strange feeling in his tummy. No matter how hard he tried to understand, something inside him just didn't want to sleep for so long. What if I don't feel like sleeping, Mama?" he asked timidly, scared of his parents' reaction. Papa and Mama Bear exchanged a worried look. "All bears hibernate, little one," replied Papa Bear gently. "It's what we do. You'll see, when the time comes, your body will naturally tell you to sleep." But deep down, Teddy felt it was different for him. That night, Teddy tried his best to fall into a deep sleep, just like his parents had shown him. He closed his eyes tight, breathed slowly, counted sheep. Nothing worked. The harder he tried to sleep, the more he stayed awake. His mind was buzzing with curiosity about the outside world. Unable to stay inside any longer, Teddy quietly slipped out of the den in the early morning. And then, what a sight! The first snowflakes were starting to fall, turning the forest into a magical world he had never seen before. His eyes lit up with happiness at all the beauty. For the first time in his life, Teddy was discovering winter. He ran through the fresh snow, made snowballs, and watched his footprints mark the white ground. "It's beautiful," he cried, his heart full of joy. He couldn't imagine missing this by sleeping. Suddenly, a small familiar light appeared in the winter landscape. It was Stella the Firefly, who never fully slept and watched over the forest even in winter. "Hello, Teddy," she said in surprise. "What are you doing outside? Shouldn't bears be hibernating?" Teddy told Stella everything, his trouble sleeping, his curiosity about winter, and his fear that his parents would be disappointed in him. "I don't get what's wrong with me," he sighed. "Maybe I'm not a proper bear." Stella listened with the wisdom of someone who had learned to accept their difference. "Teddy," Stella said softly, "remember my story. I also felt different with my little light. But I learned that our differences can become our greatest strengths. Maybe you're special for a reason we don't know yet." Teddy returned to the den where Papa and Mama Bear were waiting, worried but full of love. "My little one," said Mama Bear, hugging him tight, "we noticed you were having trouble falling asleep. We're here to help you, no matter what." Papa Bear thought for a long time. "You know, Teddy," he finally said, "my grandfather told me the story of an old bear who never fully slept in winter. He was the guardian of the sleeping forest. Maybe—" He stopped, a flicker of hope in his eyes. "Tell me, Papa," Teddy begged, his eyes sparkling with interest. Papa Bear smiled and began. His name was Watcher, and he had a special gift. While all the other bears were sleeping, he stayed awake to protect the forest and help those who needed it. Suddenly, outside, a terrible snowstorm began to brew. The wind howled through the trees, and the snow fell so hard you couldn't see 3 feet ahead. It was the biggest storm Bois Joli had seen in years. Not far away, the rabbit family was in serious trouble. Their burrow was completely blocked by a hardened pile of snow, and they were starting to run out of air. Papa Rabbit was digging desperately, but the snow was too heavy and packed for his little paws. Teddy, with his exceptional hearing as an awake bear, heard cries for help carried by the wind. "Papa! Mama! I hear someone who needs help," he cried, his protective instincts immediately waking up. Papa and Mama Bear tried to get up to help, but their bodies were already starting to enter hibernation. They were too numb and sleepy to face the storm. "Teddy," Mama Bear murmured worriedly, "it's too dangerous for you to go alone." But Teddy felt something powerful growing inside him. "No, Mama," he said with a determination he didn't know he had. "I think that's exactly why I can't sleep. I have to go." And without listening to his parents' protests, he rushed outside. In the raging storm, Teddy moved forward bravely. His big bare paws allowed him not to sink into the snow like smaller animals would have. His thick fur protected him from the icy cold. He was perfectly suited for this rescue mission. Guided by the increasingly faint cries, Teddy finally found the blocked burrow. "Don't be afraid," he shouted with all his might to be heard over the wind. "I'm going to get you out of there." His powerful paws immediately went to work. With his big, powerful paws, Teddy dug and cleared the packed snow like no other animal in the forest could have. He worked tirelessly, using an energy he never knew he had. Little by little, a passage was being made. Finally, the rabbit family was able to get out of their burrow. Papa, Mama, and the little rabbits threw themselves into Teddy's arms, crying with relief and gratitude. "You saved our lives," sobbed Mama Rabbit. "Without you, we could have." She didn't dare to finish her sentence. But the rescue wasn't over. Teddy guided the rabbit family to a safe shelter he had spotted, protecting them with his big body from the icy gusts of wind. He stayed with them all night, making sure they stayed warm and safe. The next morning, the storm had passed and the sun shone on a crystal landscape. The whole forest discovered what had happened. Stella the firefly had spread the news. Teddy had saved the rabbit family. All the animals came out to see this little hero who was different from the others. Mrs. Owl, the wisest of them all, stepped forward to Teddy solemnly. "My little Teddy," she said with emotion, "you have proven that some beings are meant for a special role. You are the new guardian of winter for Boys Jolie, just like your ancestor Watcher." Papa and Mama Bear hugged their son tightly, their eyes shining with pride and love. "We are so proud of you, little one," Mama Bear whispered. "You have found your path, and it is a beautiful one." Papa Bear nodded, moved to tears. Teddy accepted his role as guardian of winter with immense joy. He had finally understood why he was different, and that difference had become his greatest strength. Surrounded by all his forest friends, he finally felt like he belonged. And that is how Teddy became the protector of Boys Jolie during the long winter months. With Stella the firefly as his watch companion, he roamed the sleeping forest, helping anyone who needed it. His difference had become the forest's most precious gift. From that day on, no animal in Boys Jolie was ever in distress during the winter again. Teddy had learned that our differences aren't flaws to be fixed, but unique gifts to offer to the world. And every winter night, you could see his kind shape watching over the dreams of all his sleeping friends. Moral of the story: our greatest strengths are often what make us unique. By embracing our own path, we can find our true place in the world.
Enjoyed the tale? Give us a thumbs up. See you soon.